In this video, I'd like to look at one of these problems from Wednesday's assignment together. So this is from number 11 from Moore 4.5. This is Wednesday's assignment. Okay, so the main idea is similar from what we've been doing earlier in the week, which is to identify our x and our y-intercepts and our slope. So if we can do that, we'll be good to go. Okay, so let's see if we can identify everything, and then we'll work on answering other questions. So all the information I need to build my equation is from my first two sentences. So I need to build my equation before I can start answering the questions. So let's see if we can build this equation. So Casey has a small business making dessert baskets. She estimates that her fixed weekly costs for rent and electricity are $200. The ingredients for one dessert basket cost $2.50. So which value would represent our starting point, our y-intercept, and which value would represent our slope, how we're changing by each time? So my starting value is the 200. And the value that we're changing by each time, our slope, is this $2.50. Like that. So now what I'm going to use is use variables that make sense in terms of our problem. So I'm going to say that C will be cost, and I'll use the variable B, not our y-intercept number, but a variable B for our baskets. So we'll plug into our y equals mx plus b, but instead of y and x, we'll use this c and this b. So c will be our y value. Maybe we should say y replacement. And the b is our x replacement. So the equation we can build is C equals 250 B for baskets, plus my y-intercept. So we plugged in our m, and we plugged in our lower b, our y-intercept. So there's our equation. Cost is equal to 250 times our baskets plus $200, and that will give us our total cost. Okay, so now let's answer the questions. Question 1 asked, so we'll do number 1. If Casey made 40 baskets. So we're looking at that question, if Casey made 40 baskets. So let's plug in 40. So is 40 going to plug in for our B? Is 40 going to plug in for our C? Well, 40 is referring to the number of baskets, so we're going to plug it in for B. So let's find out the cost. if we have $2.50 per basket times 40 baskets plus the $200, our weekly, kind of like our weekly overhead for our electricity and water and rent and stuff. And then we plug this into a calculator. We get 250 times 40 is 100. Plus 200, so our cost would be 300. So if Casey made 40 baskets, it would cost $300. Okay, let's look at the second question. Her total costs for the week before were $562.50. How many dessert baskets did she make the week before? If Casey's weekly costs were $562.50, ... Okay, so what is this value right here? This $562.50. Is that a number of baskets we're making, or is that her weekly cost, the C value? That's going to be our weekly cost. So we're going to plug that number in for C. So I'm going to go 562.50 is equal to 2.50B plus 200. So I'm just plugging in, because now it's a cost value, so I plug in for C, and now I'll solve for my baskets. I'll figure out the number of baskets. So in this, we won't be able to just plug it straight into our calculator. We'll actually have to solve this equation. So we're trying to solve for B, so first we'll subtract 200. Bring down my 2.50B. When I do this subtraction, I get 362.50. Now we'll divide both sides by 2.50. Use my calculator for this part. 362.50 divided by 2.50, and we get 145. So if Casey's weekly costs were $562.50, then she made 145 baskets. Okay, so I just wanted to give you that one example so we'd have something to help us get started. The most important part, there's like three things that are super important when I think about this problem. The first thing is being able to build this equation. Identifying your y-intercept, identifying your slope, and then plugging into that y equals mx plus b. But we're not always going to use y and x because sometimes I'm dealing with a word problem. It would just make sense to use letters that go with the words I'm working with. So in a lot of these problems, they tell us which letter to use, but sometimes we're going to have to come up with it. So my C was my y, and my B was my x. So I replaced those letters with my new letters that kind of made more sense with my problem. So that's the first thing, building our equation. The next thing that's important is this: when am I plugging in for an x value, or this, in this case, this b value, and when am I plugging in for a y value, in this case our c value? So it's really important to just slow down, think about what the question's asking, and then make a decision on where you would plug these numbers in to solve. So that's our example to help us get started, and I want to thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.